Last Two Pages, a podcast where two best friends who love to read just can't keep it to themselves. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Megan. And on this episode, we'll be talking about our bookish habits and the way that we read, which is obviously superior.
Oh, of course.
How are y'all doing?
We're good.
Yeah.
No, we're good. We are cold. Not currently, but
It finally has gotten cold in Minnesota.
It snowed. It's real snow too, and so for my job I can do real snow programs kind of. But we're praying for another foot.
Would you like to explain what real snow programs mean?
At least 6 to 12 inches. You can't snowshoe in 3 inches of snow. That's just pointless.
I would love if you said snow before the 6 to 12 inches. That was a little jarring.
Take it how it is. You can take it.
I'm sure you do.
You can take it.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that. It's finally snowing for you.
Yes. And I'm sure you are just as thrilled.
It doesn't really bother me. I mean, like, the snow doesn't, but
No,
I
like the snow. Don't
True.
you?
It's not enough snow where I can do much in it though yet. It's just
what are you
bitter.
gonna do?
I want to go skiing. I want to go do all of the winter sport things. It
Okay,
finally
sure.
looks pretty outside, but it's not necessarily like I want the dump of the snow.
I know.
Over.
That's basically what I just said. You could just agree.
I refuse to agree with you. That's the kind of day we're having.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hope you all have had a splendid week.
You're already crying.
And have a great
Your
week.
eyes are bloodshot. Cry count number 2 for Teresa on the podcast, I believe.
It's fine.
Amazing.
It's just one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed up late last night reading, and
Yeah? What were you reading?
we'll talk about that later.
Oh my god. So today we'll be talking about how we read, basically. We felt like we are somewhat different readers in the way that we talk about books or the environments we read in.
Or like books.
True.
We have
very
some
true.
pretty different things we like to read.
So we wanted to talk to you all about our bookish habits and like how we read, because I feel like me and Trace have very different habits within reading, and that's just because we're very different people. I'm very introverted. Teresa definitely would like to be around people most of her life.
This is true, but things are changing in my brains.
Wow.
It's just someone called me a grandma last night, and she's not wrong. So something with my prefrontal cortex developing, I think. But yes, I do love to be around people and work with people.
What do you mean your prefrontal cortex?
I just think that I'm nearing the full development peak of my brain, and something will change.
I think you're the only one who has that opinion.
No, because
About you?
no, my friend Lydia,
Okay.
she turned 25. She was like, I'm a fully introvert now. And she wasn't before. She would
So,
like go out, do things. And
As
then
time goes on.
that age, I guess, well, also graduating college and all that. But frankly, I don't see myself that far from that same life.
Interesting.
And I am here for that.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I have been an introvert for a while, but it's kind of like I can make do.
Compared to
I was
you.
trained to be like outgoing but introverted, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, no.
I aim to make people feel comfortable within a conversation.
Compared to you, you're a hermit, like us. Like, if we're looking at each other side by side, you're the hermit.
Me and my kitty Nova. That's like ideal Friday through Sunday like
And then
activity.
I come in just to stir it up.
You really do stir something up.
You are very welcome.
So, bookish habits. Now that we're going fully back to that, first of all, our environment. Where do you like to read?
Anywhere. Any place that I would prefer to be somewhere else is really ideal.
Like in the middle of a party, you're just like whipping out the Kindle.
Like, well, when I was first reading ACOTAR, we were supposed to have a party at our house and then we didn't, but I was fully intending. I think I was in the midst of ACOWAR And I was fully intending to like leave the party and like go read that. But I prefer someplace cozy but sitting up. I'm kind of over reading in my bed. It kind of hurts my shoulders because it's like you always have to like turn around all the time.
And prefrontal cortex granny era. You're like, I'm so stiff and sore from reading in my bed. Give me my rocking chair and rocking stool.
But that's so real. Like a good couch that has like depth to it and like comfy sides and that you can just like nuzzle in the corner with.
Sure.
You have to agree with me.
I do understand, but
that's fine. You don't have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want it to be not too cold, but cold enough that I can have a blanket. But not too cold that my fingers get cold.
Okay.
And
makes sense.
Depending on the book, I don't really care what's happening around me. Reading on buses is nice, but planes is great because then I can just fully disassociate there because I get so claustrophobic on planes sometimes. Really? If I'm not sitting next to someone I don't know.
If you're not sitting next to someone you don't know. So you're sitting next to someone you know.
Yeah. Okay. If I sit next to someone I know, I'm okay.
Okay.
But if I'm sitting next to a stranger,
not a fan.
No.
Interesting.
And because then I'm like, it's too anxiety inducing to be like, can I go pee? You like just everything that has to do when you're on the inside and there's someone you don't know that you have to ask and disrupt them. It's too much.
Oh, I'll hold it. I will not talk to someone. Have I told you this? On my flight to Korea, I studied abroad in Korea for 8 days. It was canceled because of COVID. Cool. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
I did not get up once on either of the flights for 14 hours. Because I would have had to talk to someone.
Psychotic.
I'm also kind of afraid of like airplane bathrooms.
Oh, I love them.
No, I like kind of freak out at them. So for me, I'm like, I'll just go before and after. So literally, I did not do anything.
You didn't walk?
I didn't move on the plane.
What the heck?
One sitting position. Like I slept in my sitting position and just like put my head on the seat in front of me.
Oh, that's real. That's a great move on a plane.
Like that's what I did.
That's insane.
Up, down. 14 hours. I'm a sedimentary girly.
Oh my gosh. Geologists will find you that way in like 30 years.
I would be a perfect Pompeii specimen.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like a bog body.
A bog body?
Yeah.
What's a bog body?
You know, bodies are fully preserved in bogs. If you like, because of I don't remember any of the science behind it right now, which is embarrassing, but that's fine. But basically, they're very dense and they will hold it and they don't.
It's like earthy mummification type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There aren't they won't let the body like fully break down and deteriorate because of like the chemicals there and like how compressed it is. And that's how I want to be buried.
I was going to say, I feel like we could have like take your body as it is. Ice.
I would love
like,
that.
Ice it first so it doesn't.
Are bogs where they found like the weirdest bodies that were like tied weird and we don't know really how they died or if they're sacrificed, like weird things. Bogs are so cool.
Can you imagine everyone who loved you in muck boots like trying to shove your body down in the bog?
Absolutely. You can eat the little cranberries, collect some morels, like have some fun.
You'd be in a cranberry bog, like Ocean Spray, not sponsored.
No, just like one of the cute ones up north.
Oh, okay, cool.
But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I got from that you want to die in a bog.
No, I want to die and then be put in a bog. Actually, I'd be okay dying in a bog. Yeah, death by bog. Excellent. Sounds good.
Amazing. I personally like to read on a couch as well. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Blanket, cold enough for a blanket, but also for me, a heating pad.
Oh.
I use them the way you're not supposed to. Like, very not supposed to. I will keep that thing on for 8 hours and sit on it for 8 hours.
Isn't that gonna like cook your ovaries?
I mean, if they're not cooked already, I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, I sit on a heating pad almost all day anyway, but like that specifically like on my back or just sitting on it and like snuggling with a book. Because then it's like I don't have good like blood flow. So my like hands and feet always get cold anyway. And so it's like I don't have to work so hard to keep myself warm.
That's true.
So I don't get as tired as fast.
I feel like most people would agree that this is the superior way to read.
For sure. Couch reading.
Yeah.
Are you a like put your feet out reader, or are you like a little ball?
I just have to constantly move around, otherwise things ache. So
interesting. What do you mean? No, I'm just kidding.
like my hips.
A deep ache for sure. Yeah.
So warm.
You. I'm a little ball when I read. I'm like all the way scrunched up and like.
No, I like move about.
Great. Interesting.
So, how do you organize your shelves?
Oh, they are not organized right now. They're mostly just haphazardly thrown. I'm looking at them.
I feel like the only way I've known people to organize their shelves is by color.
Mm-hmm.
No one's going like library.
A to Z.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I do organize by genre. So like my bookshelf is like 3.
Oh, I did do that.
I did do that. So I have one side is like my fantasy and childhood books, and the other side is like classics, the ones that I absolutely will not read again and need to get rid of at the bottom, and all my sci-fi. And then I have a middle one that's just like a little bit, and those are all my highlights. So the books that I want everyone to look at and ask me questions about, because I'll just info dump until they get annoyed. So
I think I did the same thing with genres. All of my like outdoor ed books are kind of at the bottom. Same with like biographies and Deuteronomies, whatever. I don't know. And Sarah J. Maas takes up a shelf. Throw in some
15 books.
Holly Black. And I have like a lot of my TBR together. I have like 2 shelves, 2 smaller ones that are just kind of full of TBRs. But the one closest to my bed is my immediate TBR, like a list, which I felt very like, wow, good for you.
Do you follow your TBR?
Yeah. Sometimes.
I found that I have some of my TBR in a little basket, and I ignore it and choose not to look at it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta read those, and then it feels like a job.
Oh, that's why I keep it on the shelf.
And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna look at you, and so that's why I still haven't read the Serpent and the Wings of Night. It's just like sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want to read it, but like 2 pages in, I can't. It needs to pack a punch, and maybe I just need to give it more than 2 pages.
You need to give it like 20 pages, and then I think you'll be there.
I'll do that some point this year.
Good.
For sure. I'm a big playlist reader where like I have to have music in the background. We kind of talked about that already, but do you have anything else when you're reading next to you?
No. Oh, next to me, I don't know, water,
ambiance.
Oh, yeah, sometimes
like
it's
food,
nice.
Music, candles.
The playlist can be nice, but other times, sometimes I just
dive on in,
fully dissociate from the outside world, and I don't need that. And it's sometimes nice for like some books, if they like I'm on a bus or something, I'll throw it on so that it helps me zone in. But otherwise, readers gonna read. Am I right?
You're so right by that.
Yeah, that was bad.
I am like a 3 beverage girly. I always have 3 beverages open.
Hydrate, energy,
caffeine, and a tasty treat, I think is normally what people do. But I normally, like at night, I'll have hot water before I go to bed. In the morning, I try and have a cup of
plain hot water.
Yeah. It's really good for you.
Ugh, my sister would do that too, and that's just... I once got pranked by a roommate. I was about to go work out, and she said, oh, fill up your water bottle. Don't trust them.
That was not me.
I know it wasn't you. But then she filled it with like hot water, and I didn't like feel it, and so I went down and was like in the midst of my workout, and I like went to get a drink of water. It being warm, I almost threw up. It like immediately gagged me because it was so just the wrong experience.
That would suck.
So I need my hot water to taste like something
interesting,
like chocolate.
Like hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It's like, I don't know, water. I try and have more water because I'm really bad at that.
The diversity is strong, though.
Energy drinks, those are a bad habit.
Oh, yeah.
I did just get an espresso for Christmas, so I've been using that a lot. Had a double espresso this morning and then had a Celsius. Not sponsored. I
don't think you need to worry about saying that.
I think you all need to know that regardless, just in case you think that we're sponsored.
Fair enough.
So specifically into your reading habits, do you allow yourself to DNF a book? Do not finish a book? Like, are you willing to bail on it, or do you like have to get it for the reading goal?
No. Well, in my brain for like fake books, I don't know how to describe it other than Narnia feels like a fake book. I guess if it's books I've read before.
Oh, like a reread. You're willing to bail.
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, or if it's just like a real story.
Like nonfiction?
Yes.
A real story.
Nonfiction and books I read before, I DNF. But usually or if there's just something that happens in the book that is just too much for me.
Do you have a example?
I do. I don't know if I want to talk about it.
Okay.
It's called Morning Glory Milking Farms.
Oh no.
I wasn't ready for the content and it wasn't exactly my cup of tea. So I did choose to DNF that book. And it was a fantasy.
Was this the Minotaur book?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay. You can make inferences on your own. Yeah, you can make inferences on your own. I don't DNF books. Like I don't
feel like that's a lie.
I don't feel like I've picked up something and like stopped reading it in the middle of it.
Or do you just count putting it down for a year as not DNFing it because you're like, I'll finish it eventually?
No. Well, it's kind of like that one book I read where it's like 290 days before of me finishing it. So I don't count that as DNFing because I eventually finished it.
That's true. You've never DNF'd?
I don't think so. I think you're kind of right with the reread thing. Like sometimes I'll pick up a few pages and then like put it down, or like I want to reread that scene. No,
that's a lie.
What book have I DNF'd?
I need to think of it, but I swear we've talked and you've said, yeah, I just stopped reading that.
I have accidentally. It was one of my...
Was it Forbidden Fate?
Nope, I finished that. That was a mistake. I swear. There was a book I recently audiobooked and I accidentally scrubbed to 90% and didn't realize it. And I was at like 45% or something. Scrubbed it. Listened to like another 2 hours and I was like, I feel like I skipped a lot of things because it's just ending very specifically. And I just finished it and I'm like, I'm not going back. I didn't like the book enough for me to have to go all the way back. Does that count as a DNF?
I don't know. I swear you've DNF books, but I accept your claim.
You don't have to believe me, but I don't think I have. Audience, if you know that I've DNF'd a book, you can call me out on the carpet and we'll call it good. You're in the midst of this. Have you had a book hangover?
I have. It feels weird to say I've had a book hangover because before I got back into reading, I hadn't read in like years. Mm-hmm. So it's basically I was just in my old habits. But yes, I was reading Throne of Glass up at my cabin and then my dog died.
I do remember that.
I could not continue. And I was on the tandem, like right before the tandem. It was just like all the stars aligned for me to just not want to pick up a book. Yeah. And so I didn't that was what? August? So September, November, January. Wait. August, September.
October.
Oh,
November. Take a deep breath.
Yeah. From those months till now, I was only...
It's like 5 months.
That's when I was painstakingly getting through 39 Clues, which I still haven't finished. And yeah, I was just unable to pick up like a real book. But the tides have turned, baby. And
I'm so excited to hear what got you out of the slump. I still don't know what you've been reading, so kind of exciting. I have had book slumps as well. Yeah. Normally after I read like a really long series, that's what'll take me out. I'm like, I don't want to get into another long series, but I also don't want the like finality of a standalone. Yeah. So it's hard for me to discern like what I'm going to read next. And normally it's a reread or a book by the same author. Like I'll try and get out of it that way.
That's when the first time I read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, I was like, brutal. And then I did a reread of Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. That was my favorite historical fiction. And
Between the Shades
oh, and then I
of
read
Grey
Ella
by-
Enchanted.
Between the Shades of Grey by who?
Ruta Sepetys.
Oh, okay.
Ella Enchanted, I have no idea, but those 2 books got me out of my little first Throne of Glass slump.
Interesting.
But the slump was only a week, so I don't really count it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to hear what got you out of this 5-month slump. It has to be a good book or something.
It was not a book you'd like, so.
Work. Love
modern
that.
romance.
Oh, definitely not a book I'd like.
No.
Work. Do you annotate your books?
No. I have drawn lines to take pictures for Bookstagram, and then I always mess it up. And I'm like, now I just fucked
Ruined
up my
your
book.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn it. And so I kind of try to avoid it because I can't really draw straight lines. I know I like
your baby hands.
I do art. I have been asked how I write before, and not well. How do you think a 2nd grader writes? Our hands are the same size, so.
Interesting.
So no, I
come on,
do
brain
not.
development.
So I do not, and you do.
I've
not.
tried before. I don't tab, even though I have tabs. I just don't like.
I've
I
only
forget.
tabbed 1 book.
Oh my
ever.
god, I forget it all the time, and then it's like, oh well, that's not straight. That's not even. Not all of them are in the same. Whatever.
And they bend if you like move it.
Yep. So I tabbed as as a placeholder for the tandem read in Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. So I did
clever.
In the tandem read, if you're not familiar, you kind of those 2 books were written so you can read them at the same time.
Because they're happening at the same time in the world.
So you go between these 2 stories that have different characters in them.
Which
and
we recommend.
Different points. Like they're at different places physically. And so stuff kind of like works in a weird way. So I tabbed then, but only as like here's when I switch to the next book. And then I go back to the original book. And then back and forth and back and forth. But I don't really think that counts as tabbing. I will say the one book I did actually write notes in. I have a hard time with classics. I don't feel like I'm smart enough to understand. And that book is really hard for me to fair. The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. I feel like I'm missing pieces of it. So it's like, do I understand all the imagery? No, I don't. Does that mean I'm not reading it correctly? Not really. Like, that's not the point of the book.
Yeah.
But it's just like getting over that I'm smart enough to read a classic book thing has been on my mind lately. And so I talked to you about this before.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I believe
I'm
in
not
you.
an idiot. Woohoo!
Well.
Okay.
Not most of the time.
Okay.
No.
Work.
We can be idiots together.
I'm shaking your
that was
hand
a
right
weird
now.
handshake.
Yeah, I don't like that. Your hands are kind of...
Your
They're
hands,
really soft, but...
I was about to say, my hands are dry. Yours were the one that were a tad moist. All right, moving on.
Rude. Have you ever judged a book by its cover? I know that's very taboo, but...
Okay, everyone says they don't judge a book by its cover or not to, but we
chubber.
all do.
Mm-hmm.
We all do.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I'm going to gravitate towards the pretty books. Of course I'm going to look at the special editions and say, wow, that's pretty.
People who act like they don't are liars.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to pick up a book that looks horrible, that has an orange and blue cover. This is not about a specific book. I just am picturing what an ugly book cover looks like, and it's weird shapes and
it took me a while to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series covers.
Mm-hmm.
I was
the original
why are they
ones
all
or the ones that are the hardcover or soft cover or both?
Just I was why are you all random colors?
Oh, I don't really like the colors of those books. There's a very bright red, a very minty green that goes into a pink, into a light blue, and then orange.
The biggest series that we talked about earlier, off the record, was Shatter Me.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what Shatter Me was about, and I didn't think it was going to be that good because it's all just a bunch of eyeballs that give me nothing. They just and
Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi.
It's just weird. And then you pick it up and you're like, you're a sci-fi dystopian. What in the world? And then and then I loved them all and it was great. And so that's oh, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Yes, I know. I'm proved wrong, but I still stick by. I
saw that book in Barnes & Noble when I was growing up, and I never looked at them because I'm okay, why are the eyelashes trees?
Yeah.
On this book that's like a beautiful blue, but like the eye looks weird, and every single one of the series is like the same eyeball, but like the eyelashes are all different.
I still understand why it's an eyeball.
I don't really either. If you guys know why it's an eyeball for the Shatter Me series, you let us know. But I find it to be a little off-putting, but it's an artistic choice.
And
I'll give her that.
it's a great series.
I want her to come up with new additions.
Oh,
like,
that would be cool. I'm sure
that'd be
there are
so cool
dust jackets you could get. But otherwise, if it's a pretty book.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the way that so many like hockey romances have like gross covers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you want
it's
me
like
to read
some
that
dude with his shirt off
in
with like
public?
sweaty
No.
abs on the front? Absolutely not.
Discreet book covers were
That's for the
godsend.
Kindle. Those things are for the Kindle. Those are books that I will not like have on my shelves, and honestly that I don't really read in general.
Okay, no, I hate when I turn off my Kindle and it shows my currently reading, and it's just weird, and I don't want to have to explain to anyone what I'm reading about, because no, it's a hockey romance. That's all you need to know.
Okay. You do like those hockey romances.
I do. Something about them.
Okay.
They're the best palate cleanse ever.
Okay.
Of all time.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I also hate when you turn off your Kindle, and maybe I just am like the cheap one who doesn't pay to like not have what I'm reading on the cover. And I'll get those ads, and it will just be a shirtless man.
Yeah.
Or like it's very Danielle
read.
Steele, like
yeah.
wrapped in an embrace.
No,
and sweaty, and their clothes are like halfway off. No. Yeah, it makes me kind of icky. So
yes, but I have heard there's ways around having to pay for that.
We'll talk after
I think
that,
you just
Jared.
have to like call Amazon and be like, "Ooh, all my friends got it off," and I think you just have to be a tad Karen about it, and it's fine.
A tad Karen.
Because I think it's like only like $10 or $20 to not have.
I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I don't normally read books on my Kindle unless it's absolutely necessary.
So, when it comes to what you do like to read, how long do you like your series?
Like if I'm going to read a series or a standalone, or like how many books in the series?
Single, duology, trilogy, plus.
Ooh. I like more than one book. Duologies normally leave me wanting more. Like there's not enough.
Trilogies,
regardless of how long the books are,
pretty perfect.
Yeah, trilogies kind of like hit me in that sweet spot, but I don't mind if it's like 3 books supposed to be a trilogy and then the author added on more. I don't mind that.
That's what Shatter Me did.
That's a good like.
And I think that's what Sarah J. Maas is trying to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I don't mind that like cadence between the books, because you feel a natural progression where you're not like, you know, the like you're at the bottom and you're learning and world building, and then you go up and the plot is at its highest, normally at the beginning of the 3rd or in the middle of the 3rd, and then it crashes down, and then you get another up and down.
True.
Where sometimes when you have a long series, it just kind of feels like world building takes 3 books and then it just drags for me sometimes. So
trilogies are just overall perfect. And that's that. I do love a duology, depending on the duology, but yeah, it does leave you wanting more.
You know, it's like, oh, you could have added a whole other little piece to that, but sometimes maybe it's perfect.
That's the point, is leave them wanting more, so that people can write fan fictions that
that's
complete
fair.
Your wildest dreams.
You are an AO3 type of girly. So
only for Six of Crows.
AO3 is Archive Our Own for the people who do not know. It's like where most people just can freely write fan fiction,
like
whatever you want.
You know Wattpad,
the 2014 Tumblr girlies.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know Wattpad. I knew Wattpad.
I only read one series on Wattpad.
Are you serious?
And it was After.
In middle school. I don't know who wrote After.
I don't remember either, but there's the movies now, but it's a Harry Styles fanfiction. It's for a 6th grader. That's
damaging.
Yeah, I was like, this is not a healthy relationship.
As a 6th grader, it's like working overtime in your prefrontal cortex.
And I'm like, yay.
Mm-hmm.
But Dealing with Our Demons by, I don't remember the name, on AO3. It's a Kinej fan fiction. Kaz and Inez, who are characters in Six of Crows, is so freaking good.
How long is that?
It's like hundreds of it's like 700,000 words. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
And she writes it just like, I swear the name is like
Leith
Raven
Bardugo.
something. Ugh, no. But the author, Leith Bardugo, she carries her voice through the fan fiction somehow.
Oh, interesting.
And it's so good. Ugh, love it.
I love that for you. I know for me, Wattpad was like where I was like reading stuff. AO3 didn't really I never read it before. Really? I think I've read like maybe 4 or 5 books on AO3, but Wattpad, that's where it began.
You would be what else is on Wattpad?
Not a book that I wrote. Not that I'm not going to share on this podcast because it's embarrassing and I can't delete it because I got locked out of my account.
She hasn't even showed me.
No, no one will see this. And I talk about it as like a little teaser, and I'm super sorry to all the people that I've talked to about it, but it's bad.
What's it about?
It's like 600 pages though. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It was a lot. It was on a Word document. I wrote it all in Word. Just like,
what's it about?
On my Toshiba, whatever. It is a
sci-fi dystopian.
No, it actually isn't. It was originally written as like a Pride and Prejudice era book with like secret societies and shit.
What?
But then I realized that it was basically the 39 Clues in Regency era, and so I changed it all to modern. I changed it all to modern so they could have car chases. And that's the only reason that I changed it to modern.
Were there any romances?
There was, and I will never forget their names. It was May was the main character's name.
Oh.
And I think oh God. I think the guy's name was like Russell or something. It was so stupid. Like, why Russell? I don't know. I have like drawings though. I drew all my characters.
No.
Yeah, way. In a notebook somewhere. I have all of the drawings. She had like not hundreds, but like so many siblings, and like they were all a part of this society, and it was so crazy. Like when I talk about it, it sounds insane.
Publish it.
No, it was pretty bad and poorly written. But you know what?
Like
I had dreams.
That could be workshopped.
I had dreams, and it's not finished, and I can tell that people have like still been reading it.
What?
I can't delete it. Like, I can't delete it.
It's out there?
Completely unfinished. Yeah.
What's it called?
I'm not saying the name.
Wait, what? I bet
it's on Wattpad.
I'm gonna find it.
I hate you. So, it's out there for the masses, but I can't delete
it. If I find it.
Great. So yeah, that's embarrassing. But I don't really read ebooks anymore. So
I love my Kindle.
I think I'm safe.
I love my Kindle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can read 1 billion books so quick on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and reading at night, perfect.
Mm.
And I binge a series. That's what I do.
Work. When you're looking for a book, I know we've kind of talked about tropes before, like in the last episode, LOL. Do you feel like they're spoilers? I feel like some people have talked about like how tropes are spoilers.
That's coming back, that people are talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And yes and no. I think it can be spoilers. So for people that don't want to know anything at all before getting into a book, which is fine, but I want to know. It feels like just a hint, like how sparkling water's like lime, but really it's like you set lime in the same room as the water was flowing.
Oh, okay. So there's not really any context.
No, I think if it happens in the first 50 pages, it's not a spoiler.
That's real.
And
like if the trope that happens is in the first 50 pages and like you get that vibe, then
or
it's not
like
a spoiler.
Just anything that happens like about the plot or world. Especially, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's the first 50 pages, it's not a spoiler.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
50 pages is a good, like, look, you got to talk about something about the book in the same way that a synopsis of a book has stuff that you learn the first 50, 100 pages.
Yeah.
Like, that's what.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't mind tropes. I mean, like, I don't like it
'em.
when someone has like 1,000,010 and are stretching the truth about what a book
Oh
has.
yeah, they're like, oh, she has a dad. You know.
Can't relate. Just kidding. I
do have a dad.
Father. I do have a dad.
Hello, John.
But yeah.
I like them, but I don't love that book publishers use them.
Oh,
I
you'd
only
rather
like
have
book
readers.
reviewers to use them.
Okay. I like that too.
And I think that's where I'm at with that.
That makes sense. In your books, do you like more plot or character driven like stuff?
I need a balance.
Okay.
I need a good balance, like especially with romances. There needs to be like a side one that's like happening, so you like what's like going on, and I don't know. I just need a balance. I don't know how else to describe it besides.
How much romance do you like in it?
Depends on the book, but usually
like spice level.
Oh, if there's like, I like with modern romances or whatnot when there's like one scene that it like builds up to.
Okay.
Because I'm forever like tension girly. Like, give me they held hands.
Yeah.
In like 500 pages. Actually, no, I think I'm too impatient for that. They haven't held hands in like 200 pages.
Okay.
And then they hold hands, and then it's like,
because they have to, something like that.
Yeah, they're pretending to date.
One of those.
I love a fake dating. I do.
I love that. I think for me, I don't really care if it's character or plot driven. It mostly depends on if I like the characters.
Oh.
I don't want to know about everyone's plot.
I need plot driven.
I don't care. Or I don't care about everyone like overcoming something. Like not every character needs to overcome something. It really is just like the main character, but that's the plot. Like that is the plot. Right.
Now I'm thinking about it.
So yeah, no, I need like the plot to have a true progression. Otherwise, I'm gonna get bored.
With good characters.
Yeah,
it can't
I'm gonna get bored.
If you're having a found family, it can't be found family focused. There needs to be the overall plot that has a found family in it, but it cannot be like half the book is just them bonding over like nothing.
Let's make a blanket together. Like that's no plot.
Let's be in this magical woods just like talking to these fairies for like 200 pages and there's really no point to it.
Oh. I think I know what book you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. We will not be sharing that book. What was I going to say? Oh, and then spice level for me, I could do without any.
Yeah.
But I get that. I kind of get up to a point where I'm like,
I need a smooch though.
This is excessive. Like I can go all the way up until it's like every few chapters. But that's just not like, it's not because I'm uncomfortable with it. And like the girlies are going to want what they want. If you're just like reading smut to read smut,
good on you.
Do it. I just get bored.
I get it.
And annoyed. And I'm like,
well, sometimes
then can we just have a conversation, please?
If it's too much, then I just get confused by like everything. I
found I'm more like critical of the relationship if it's happening more often than they're talking.
True. Yeah. Then I'm like, y'all are just not meant to be. Or you're not like,
this is an infatuation. I don't feel like it's love. But you know what? I haven't read a lot of books with like a high level of spice unless it's like AO3 or something.
It's
but
mostly
even then,
mafia that I've dabbled in, and frankly, that's all that they're there for. So
real. So I don't know. For me, I'm just kind of like I can go up to that level until I'm start getting critical of the relationship, and then it totally pulls me out.
I can't constantly read heavily smutted books. I just feel like my brain cells die a little. But then I need some tension though in most of the books I read.
Yeah.
There needs to be two
there's got to be
that
something that's like
hating each other.
Yeah.
But they're meant to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Whether that be the villain and the main character, or the main character and another main character.
Enemies
like,
to lovers.
Give me the tension. Give me the suspense of that. That's great. That's fantastic. But
chef's kiss.
I feel like we've gone over a lot of what we like about books. Hopefully you know like how we are as readers a little bit more. But what like can you recall a book that has changed your perspective reading recently? Or, you know, anything that's challenged your thinking? Because I feel like that's what really makes a good book. And I'm just curious if you have one that sticks out in your brain.
The most distinct one I have over all my life in the most recent years is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Really?
When I finished that, we were having a slumpy party, and Megan was like passed out, and I finished it at like 1 a.m. and I just like sat and stared at the ceiling for like 10 minutes, where I was just like,
that'll do it.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, hey, yo, V.E. Schwab, I don't know what, she just knows how to write books. Well,
she has a really cool way of writing in a perspective that isn't
life and suffering. Just,
yeah,
I don't know, it makes me rethink my life and how I want to live it, and that's the most, I think, a book has really impacted me like immediately. And then other books just make me cry for months after, but
crying is just a typical experience as a reader, I feel.
Do you have one?
I do. And I read it this year. It was This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal et Motar and Max Gladstone. That book was a very quick read and was only like 4 hours audiobooking. But when I tell you, I had to sit back and be like, I don't even know what happened. I don't understand why my brain just like did that. And it's a series of letters that two people on opposing sides of a war write each other. But the war is very ambiguous. The two sides are like one side is like machinery, industry, capitalism. Like you kind of get that vibe. Like,
okay, USA.
It's more like metallic if you get that vibe, where it's like robot industry, whatever, right? And then the other side is very like nature, hive based,
divergent,
green, whatever, right? Like those are the two opposing sides, but you don't really understand what that means. But it's the characters Red and Blue and their relationship, and like it made me reflect on like conflict and the why behind a lot of like how we talk to each other, not us two specifically, but like how you speak to another person throughout a timeline that doesn't really exist.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. So really enjoyed that book. It's only like 200 pages, so
crazy. Packed a punch.
Punched me square in the jaw, like pow pow pow. It was great. That's how you know a book is great.
What are we reading right now? This just in. You first.
Okay. I am currently reading Heartless by Marissa Meyer on audiobook. It is amazing. I started it yesterday and I'm 25% in because I have no self-control and was shopping and driving yesterday. So it was fantastic. But it's a Alice in Wonderland retelling, specifically a Queen of Hearts retelling. And it's about like, from what I understand, it's like court relationships or whatever, but not in a specific like fantasy court way. Like you get the full Alice in Wonderland experience. You get the craziness of like this topsy-turvy world, you know, whatever, like drugged out. They were talking about horseflies, but they're rocking horseflies.
Oh, so
and it's just like such good imagery, just like eating it up. They were talking about like her dress specifically, and it was a black and white ball, not really spoilers, and her dress was like red velvet, and like the main character is a baker, and you kind of get to hear about her dreams. It's very much like young adult, but like, God, Marissa Meyer is such a good author. I am like pulled in immediately and I love it. And the male main character, so good.
Wow.
Yeah, I really love it. So that's
very exciting.
I'm hoping to finish it sometime this week, so you'll get a full review at the Blonde Registry.
Is that in the Lunar Chronicles?
Oh no, it's just written by the same author, but she does a lot of fairy tale retellings.
Okay,
so it's a really good one.
The book that got me out of my slump was so unexpected. It was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood.
Oh.
And I just didn't see, it's been on my shelf. I got it at Target for like $8 or something. Sure. And I just missed reading so bad. And like 39 Clues, I had read 10 or 9.5 of them. And I was like, let's just try something new. And then I devoured it in 2 days. And the ease of modern romances is my favorite thing because they're just so simple.
Yeah.
And no extra thinking really has to be done, and it's someone else's drama. And then I kind of do hate them because they randomly will point insecurities out of the main character. I'm like, wow, I've had no original thoughts in my entire life, and now I forgot about that, and now that is at the front of my brain. But then she like deals with it and like helps, blah blah blah, whatever. It kind of sucks that way, but I liked it. It was fun. It was cute.
I love that. Have you read the other two?
I read Love Hypothesis, and there was a cameo from those two characters, and I did love that.
Oh my god!
Had me kicking and giggling and screaming.
I love that.
And that helped me get into. I was gonna go back to try my reread. I just can't do rereads right now. I think is what it is, because I'm trying to finish my Throne of Glass reread before the third Crescent City comes out, but I could not pick that up, so I picked up Now Iron Flame. And
by Rebecca Yarros.
And I like it. I don't hate it. I'm surprised by that because there's some like hot.
Wow.
It's either people love it or hate it. And I'm like, I like it.
I can't wait to be spoiled by you because I don't intend to read it. But interesting.
I think it's because I just need really easy reads, and I think that's people's biggest critiques is that her writing is kind of, I guess, simple. But I don't know. I'm still in the infirmary. I'm like now sitting up in my bed and like they're giving me water and broth.
You're still on the IV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so frankly, and the letters are so tiny though. I need like full light blasting. I was like, am I that old? How old am I? I'm not
looking at your watch.
It's not even a watch. It's some camp bracelets.
Yeah. They'll tell you how old you are for sure. Like the rings of a tree.
They honestly, yeah. But no, I like Iron Flame so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're liking it.
Yeah, me too. I was surprised by that.
Fantastic. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Last Two Pages. Do you feel like we have the same habits as you? Are we just completely in the wrong on how we're reading? You let us know.
And thank you so much for watching or listening. And we will see you on the next page.